everyone. This is Amazing Fantasy Football. I am Josh, and he is...
Chris.
And Chris, he is. We're here today to talk about some pending free agents. That's right, folks. We are recording this on the 14th, which means that is the Ides of March Eve. That means tomorrow is the death of Julius Caesar, according to Shakespeare.
Wow, random fact
of the day. In case you didn't know that.
No, I didn't. I have random fact of the day. Thank you very much.
Oh, you want to know some other random facts? The emperor penguin has 61 feathers per square inch on his body, and there's 1,720 yards to a mile, 5,280 feet to a mile. I can keep going here.
Well, that's just math. That's not fun for anybody. No, I'm just kidding.
I love math. Math is great.
Math is great.
If you're good at it, which I have a weird feeling that you're not.
I'm not. Not my strong suit. Never has been. Okay. Art and science.
So we're Amazing Fantasy Football folks, and we are here to talk about some up and coming free agent players. Let's start off the top here with Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I've got some good news recently on a couple of fronts. Most notably, a little more free time because my wife will be working a little bit less. She was at a time of year where she pulls a ton of overtime.
And you're back from windsurfing off the coast of Bangladesh or wherever you were.
That's why I have this beautiful bronze tone.
I just thought you were a fake baker, but okay.
Fake baker?
Yeah. Someone who tans in a tanning bed.
Oh, right. I was thinking Baker Mayfield. I was like, I would do no such thing, sir. And besmirch the name of...
Fake baker. So let's start off the top here with one Mr. Dak Prescott. He got a nice chunk of change from the Dallas Cowboys. Finally, I feel like if the Cowboys had done this last season, they probably could have paid him less, but whatever.
That's been the overwhelming opinion, and I think it's correct. Jerry took one on the chin. Go ahead.
Right. So he got a 4-year contract for $160 million total. That's like potential. 126 of it is fully guaranteed. Okay. 126 of the $60 million is guaranteed. Let's put it that way. That's great for Dak. I'm glad he got it. I don't really want to dwell too much on Dak right now because he's not really switching teams. So we can talk about him. We can talk about him later in the off season, preseason, whatever. We both love Dak. He's a great quarterback. Let's move on to the next guy on the list here. And that is Tyrone Williams. Somehow this dude got a contract already. He was with the Raiders, and he is now signed with his third team in his career, which is the Detroit Lions. It's a 1-year deal for $4 million. That is fully guaranteed, that $4 million. So it's only $4 million. The Lions could cut him if they wanted to, whatever.
Yeah, they just needed bodies. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they needed to fill out their wide receiver stable in Detroit because it looks like Kenny Galladay's leaving. They only has Quintez Cephas and I'm forgetting the other guy that is currently on the roster for the Lions. So, and Tyrone Williams isn't necessarily a terrible player. He's kind of more of a field stretcher, not super fast, but big bodied guy. He hasn't had a 1,000-yard season since 2016.
I feel like he's come really close, like twice, though.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
He got was it 2020 or 2019? He got off to a real hot start. I think it was this past season.
Okay, in 2020 he didn't play at all, and then in 2019 he only played in 14 games, and he still only had about 600 yards. So he hasn't had a super productive year so far, or I'm sorry, career so far.
You're right.
That 1,000-yard season was great, but once again, that was 4 or 5 years ago. So
yeah, there's some potential there. But
healthy. If he stays healthy, he's a big target for Jared Goff, and has upside, but it's hard to say. Other than, missing 2 games in 2019 and all of last season, he's played in, he has 3 full seasons playing all 16 games as a starter. So, reliable in that respect and everything. He could be a real late round like dart throw. To be quite honest, you're sitting there.
I see some real world value for the Lions, and dart throw.
For sure.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the only two offensive guys as far as skill positions that were franchise tagged, and that was Allen Robinson and what was the other guy? I have it written down here.
Franchise on the offensive side of the ball, Allen Robinson.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, Allen Robinson and Chris Godwin.
Thank you. Yeah, wide receivers. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I would definitely want to touch on Godwin. Go ahead. Both.
Let's start with Allen Robinson.
Yep.
Allen Robinson's great. We both really love him. He's an amazing wide receiver. Is he maybe an elite level wide receiver? Maybe quite not. Like he's probably
maybe not that top tier, but
yeah, he might not end up ever being the wide receiver one on the year, but he's certainly a top 15 wide receiver easily in fantasy. No matter, he's done it with the Bears and Mitch Trubisky / Nick Foles. Like, it don't get much worse quarterbacking than that, folks.
First ballot Hall of Famer right there. No, I'm just
kidding. Mitch Trubisky? Heck no, yeah.
Allen Robinson, because he played with Trubisky.
Yeah, exactly.
And
unfortunately for Robinson, he must have the world's worst agent or something. And in the sense that the Bears franchise tagged him, I can't believe that he didn't have a no franchise tag clause signed it or like in his contract.
He chased the money.
He was chasing money, but at the same time, man, he doesn't want to stay with the Bears. He's come out and said, like I saw an article yesterday that said that he, quote, will not be signing the Tags contract anytime soon, end quote. So, and I know the Bears were hoping to, there was talks the Bears were trying to tag and trade Allen Robinson, but if they wanted to trade him so bad, why didn't they trade him before the trade deadline last season? They weren't making the Super Bowl, nor I don't understand.
I'm trying to remember what their record was at that point. They didn't win very
many games. I don't remember either. But even then, they had to look at their quarterbacks and be like, we're not winning a Super Bowl with these two jokers here this year. Yeah. So what's the point in keeping Allen Robinson around? We can't put butts in the seats because we can't have people in the stadium because of COVID. So, it doesn't make any sense for this front office to actually hang on to Allen Robinson.
To be clear, he's refusing to sign at this point. So.
As of right now, yes. So now, when we get closer to minicamp and he's looking at potential fines, that song can change real quick. But
I'd rather look at it like this: like you have 2 or 3 important dates. Number one, the one's coming up here real soon. If both parties are on the same page and want to kind of help each other out and get something for him, it'll happen before free agency opens officially. Probably not. I don't agree with that. And then draft, as we talked about off air, end of April. Something could happen there. And then, I'm sorry, you said minicamp. July, I believe.
June,
thank you.
Well, there's usually roster bonuses or something.
There might be an important July date. But anyway, right in that area, those 3 kind of areas, those dates are important for a guy like him. If something's going to happen.
Yeah. And I think the only reason why they actually tagged him, and I just remembered this, is that I think they tagged him to keep him around for another year to try and lure some kind of quarterback onto their team. Whether it be a
next offseason?
No, right now. Whether it be a Carson Wentz, I hate this rumor, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson,
some big trade,
that sort of thing. To try and get quarterbacks interested into trying to, or one in free agency too, to try and get them to come to Chicago.
Because we kept Allen Robinson and he's
well respected. I think their argument is we have a wide receiver one for you. We have a young tight end in Cole Kmet. We have a young, pretty good prospect in Darnell Mooney, and we have a decent
backfield.
Decent backfield too, and we're going to work on the offensive line in the off season, whether it's through free agency.
And I feel like every other year, Chicago has a great defense. Like it's just a matter.
Yeah, and we have a defense that is kind of in win now mode, sort of ish
with Mack,
Mack and
I see their angle. I don't agree, but I see that angle. I sure do. Yeah. What else are you going to do? You know, especially if you're that GM, that front office, and that head coach, you kind of, like you said, win now or say goodbye. If he were to go somewhere, do you have any thoughts on that? Any ideas? Any preferences?
Allen Robinson?
Yeah.
I have one big preference where he would go.
What's that?
The Colts, of course.
I think the pessimist in me thinks Patriots. Like, just after hearing the Cam news the other day.
Oh, that was another one.
Yeah,
the guy that somehow signed a contract. Cam Newton signed a potentially up to $14 million contract with the Patriots. What are the Patriots doing?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
They gave him $8 million last year, benched him, I think, 4 times, and then gave him a bigger contract this year?
To be fair, out of the gate, he started... I'm on your side, but to play devil's advocate, he started hot out of the gate, and he did get COVID, so lingering effects. I don't know.
Let me roll my eyes harder here.
I know. I have to... He
didn't have any wide receiver weapons, and the offensive line
still don't
very good, even though they got ranked in the top 10 and by PFF.
Now, if there's a receiver in the league that can go up and get it and make up for subpar accuracy, I mean, this is your guy.
Him or Kenny Galladay.
Well said. We'll get to him later.
Both of them are free agents,
exactly. Galladay is a legit free agent. They let him walk. They did not tag him.
They were smart too. I think Galladay just looked at the Lions and said, "If you tag me, I will not sign."
Yeah, we don't need this headache. We're rebuilding.
You probably won't hear it come out because it seems like
it'd have been different if Stafford would have stayed.
I think Kenny Galladay and the Lions were trying to be cool with each other. And just kind of part on good terms with each other. Like it was just kind of a mutual breakup between the two of them.
Agreed.
But I think Kenny Galladay just kind of gave him that look like, tag me and I do not sign.
Yep.
That sort of thing.
Yep. I agree.
I think a lot of players are kind of, I know some are willing to play chicken with it, but I think more and more players are getting into that Le'Veon Bell kind of mindset of don't tag me. I will not sign.
I can sit. Yeah, I can sit out a year and get my body right.
I don't think Kenny Galladay can afford to because he's 27. He was
an older rookie because I think he was a 4-year senior because he was at not smaller school, but he wasn't at a big. He was at NIU.
You know what school he came out of?
NIU.
Bet you can't name it.
Right up the road from here.
You did. Never mind.
Yeah. Northern Illinois University. For those listening home, the
Lobos.
The Lobos?
And before that?
Well, Galladay?
Yeah.
Oh, he was like a JUCO or something.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you got me. You got me.
It was South Dakota.
Okay. Is that 1A?
No idea. Anyways, let's move on to.
Do you want to move on to Galladay since we kind of touched on him already?
No, because we skipped over Chris Godwin.
Oh, right.
The guy who got franchise tagged.
Oh, because we wanted to finish up the franchise tag, guys. Cool. Mm-hmm. Let's do that. Because I definitely want to talk about
Godwin here while I take a drink of water.
Talent. I want to start there. Chris Godwin is oozing with talent. I'm talking like, I think most people would agree, top 12 no-brainer, maybe even a top 5. Talent, strictly alone. I'm not saying anything else other than that. What he can do, I guess, is what I'm saying. So I'm kind of excited because I think it shows a vote of confidence from the Buccaneers and more importantly from Brady. But as a fantasy analyst, it's like, okay, now I'm just stuck with roughly the same amount of mouths to feed, although we might see some tight ends walk. And I'm not sure about Scotty Miller. Or I'm sorry, Antonio Brown. I think Antonio Brown is as good as gone. I don't know. We're speculating. Yeah, so all I'm saying is there's still a lot of mouths to feed in that kitchen.
Tom Brady restructured his contract to keep Antonio Brown.
Oh, did he? Okay, so Evans didn't go anywhere because he's got that big number. So you keep. I think maybe either they plan on moving Evans or this delays the inevitable for one more year. Does that make sense? And then maybe next year they choose Godwin over Evans because they have to.
I think that, I think this actually might be smart by the Bucs, is that tagging Chris Godwin gets you one of the better wide receivers in the NFL. To keep with Tom Brady, you keep Tom Brady. You kind of keep that continuity of Brady, Godwin, and Mike Evans for sure. Gronk is technically a free agent, but Gronk signed in with the Bucks or he's retiring again. I don't see him going anywhere else.
Right.
I think this is all kind of leading to my point of if the Bucks keep everyone, including Antonio Brown, on the team for 2021, I think we're going to have a lot of the same problems that we did last year, and it's just going to be a nightmare. It's going to be a fantasy nightmare because you're never going to know who's going to pop off any given week. Now, I did notice that when I was looking up some stuff for the show, that in the last 8 games, so the last half of this past season, Chris Godwin had either 90 yards receiving and or a touchdown in all but 2 of those last 8 games. So
heated up a little bit.
So that's and he didn't miss a game in that span either, whereas he missed 4 games in the first 8, So, maybe it was just because he was finally fully healthy, or maybe it was just because he was syncing up with Tom Brady, or it was the fact that Mike Evans was a little banged up towards the end of the season. I don't really know. It's kind of hard to tell without going through and watching every single game. And even then, it's kind of one of those like, well, maybe he was just the guy that happened to be open in those games too. Because that's kind of how Brady rolls. He doesn't hyper focus on a certain player, really.
Yeah, he's going to hit the open guy. He's going to spread the ball around. Although we've obviously seen Edelman and I almost said Eckler, Welker, and of course Moss back in the day. We've seen them all post amazing fantasy stats. It's not that he can't support 1 or 2 or 3 guys, but you're right, he does spread the ball around. I like to look at it as, first of all, from a redraft perspective, it all depends on if we're going to see a discount baked into his ADP and where you can get him in terms of, like we said, mouths to feed. So if you're of the school of thought that the talent will rise to the top and that there is a vote of confidence in Godwin and he's, then fine, take that risk. But as we both expressed, we're concerned. Dynasty, and I am excited about touching on more dynasty perspectives a little bit more and more, especially with you in a dynasty league now. I don't think there is really a good answer. I think it's just hold. I don't know what you can do right now. I mean, just hope that maybe I'm right, that it does show a vote of confidence and that they do want him around long term. Although the franchise tag is also kind of the kiss of death, and the talent does rise to the top, and we get another couple of years, 2-3 years of Brady and Godwin, and maybe Evans gets dealt.
So okay, long term. So if in redraft, only redraft, who do you want? Say Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown are all back to back in ADP coming this pre-draft season. Which one are you taking there?
I'm taking Godwin probably every time.
Exactly,
but
me too.
I have a preference for the talent.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I want the more talented guy.
Yep, that's where I'm at. And I understand in the back of my mind, and people who are listening to my advice, that yes, I could miss, and Evans could be the compiler of the stats, the target monster that he quite frankly has been. But I'm willing to bet on the talent.
Mainly more because of touchdowns. I don't think it's going to be a lot of fantasy points based on.
You think it's going to be get the rebound in the end zone,
get
the rebound in the end zone, which by the way, Godwin can do very well also.
Yeah.
But
Godwin's
just pretty good at it.
I think Godwin is about 2 inches or so shorter than Mike Evans. So
of course, and he's also the more versatile weapon. So Evans is better in the red zone. I would probably concede, but overall, Evans is the more talented dude, I think.
So let's move on to Kenny Golladay here.
Do it,
Mr. Kenny G. Started his career with the Detroit Lions, as just about all of you know, and the Lions got rid of Stafford, and Kenny G, I still think he just gave him that look like, don't you dare franchise tag me.
You're in for a nightmare if you do.
And there's rumors that he's looking for a top dollar contract. I think the next team he's looking at is for money and money only. I don't know that for a fact.
Pulling Allen Robinson.
I think so. I think that's what he's doing. I think he's selling his talents to the highest bidder, and not necessarily the best team. Which, man, I wish more players would look at teams than self.
Right. Well, if they look at
especially a wide receiver, like I get running backs. I totally get a running back. Like you have one big contract in you and that's it, and go where the money is. I totally get that.
And you have to think about your health even more.
Yeah. Well, running backs usually have a shorter shelf life than a wide receiver.
Yep.
Frank Gore, obviously, we're not talking about you.
Yeah. Or ironically, Megatron. 10-year career?
He retired early, though.
That's what I'm getting at, though. He's a big... Galladay's a big dude, don't get me wrong. Hence the Babytron nickname. But, I mean...
He's a big guy, but he's not as fast.
No, and correct. I'm just saying Calvin Johnson took a lot of punishment.
I think that's the only detract from Kenny Golladay is that, yeah, he runs some good routes, and he can jump up and get the ball really well, and, he attacks the ball really well. But he's just not all that fast, so he's not gonna kill any cornerbacks with his speed
downfield. Yeah.
He ran a 4.5 in the combine, which is not that's not slow by any means. I mean, it's not as fast as me, but
Mm-hmm. I think he might be a little off on Tyrell's speed. I think he can get downfield pretty well. I don't know of a 40 off the top of my head.
He never looked like it though.
And he's got a bigger frame at like 6'2", I think, off the top of my head. But and they may not be done bringing dudes in. I mean, we'll talk about another receiver who's all about speed, Will Fuller, later. Could be another destination. They need bodies. Well,
and I think a lot of problems in this free agency, this thing, and Tyrone Williams is 6'4".
Dang,
I did not know that. Anyways, I think a lot of problems with free agency this year, and it's a bad year for free agents or potential free agents, is that the salary cap is smaller than they thought it would be.
It's going down. They didn't anticipate it to go down. They only anticipated it to go up.
They also didn't anticipate a pandemic either. So
that's what I'm getting at. It's going to go down because of the pandemic, but it was set to go up, going back to Dak's deal, here in couple of years, 2022, 2023. Anyway, because of the new TV, the TV deal was up, and that's all the monies. So,
man, I cannot wait for a new TV deal because I do not want to get a satellite dish for the Sunday ticket.
Well, this is also the there's also the network deals.
Well, yeah, I know. There's been some grumblings that Amazon might make a huge push for
Sunday ticket.
Which would be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think they'll include it with their Prime subscription.
Oh no.
But I would totally give them the Sunday ticket price to just be able to stream it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll do without I don't know, food for 4 months.
You got me off guard with that one.
What? I mean, I gotta pay for it somehow. The Sunday ticket's not cheap, dude. It was
just one of those. I really thought you were being serious for a second until the comment came out of your mouth, and I was like, "What?" Yeah, you got me there.
What? It's expensive. It's like $400, man.
Anyway, let's finish up Galladay. I've got I'm hearing Ravens quite a bit. You and I have mentioned multiple times that
that would be really interesting, and I think that he's a guy that could really help not only
and that quarterback,
not only Lamar, offense, but not only Lamar Jackson, but also Hollywood Brown too.
Oh, absolutely! It opens up the whole offense.
Yeah,
it makes Lamar look better.
You get a more, and I think Hollywood Brown is more speed than route precision.
Oh, for sure.
If that on that sliding scale, he's definitely the settings are more
too small. You roll coverage his way a little bit, take him out of the game. Now, tight end is among the league's not quite the best, not top 2 or 3, but top 5 for sure. I think it helps the whole offense. A guy like Galladay who commands double teams, who, like you said, is a physical player, going to win matchups, not a speedster. They've got Hollywood for that. I like that destination. It helps my, I guess, Lamar take. But also, it's not the Patriots. So that's really the win-win right there. So, I like the Ravens. I haven't thought of any other destinations besides those two, Ravens and Patriots, but obviously
they've been talking. I know I've heard some grumblings about the Jets, Jacksonville. I don't think Indianapolis is in on it, even though according to Over the Cap, they're in the top 5, 6 as far as cap space still. I don't know. Over the Cap seems to be kind of on top of updating their website, but I don't know if that was. And I just looked like a few days ago. I don't know if that reflects having Carson Wentz on the team now or not. It was having a hard time discerning whether that was updated or whatever. So whatever. Let's move on to why don't we move on to Will Fuller here?
Yeah, perfect. And we can swing all back around to running backs, and that's most of the show.
So Will Fuller here, I mean, he had a really great season this past year. Now, I'm sure Chris here is going to joke about the fact that his really good season and staying healthy was due to his PEDs. I don't know about that. We'll never ever know for sure.
No.
So, but I mean, he's super fast, and I don't know. I think that he's going to end up staying with the Texans, to be honest.
Really? Because of familiarity and money?
I think Deshaun Watson. I think they have. If they want to keep Deshaun Watson, I think that keeping Will Fuller is going to be
key,
a Band-Aid to help try and close that gaping wound between Watson and the front office.
Yeah, I mean, this is a speculation show. I have to say that the smart money, I would agree with you, but the dynasty manager and fantasy analyst in me wants him gone. Wants both Watson and Fuller gone. Quite frankly, different destinations is perfectly fine. I could just think of some great marriages for Fuller. I think the world of his talent. Don't let my little PD, take fool you too much. But again, just big fan of his talent, and I'd love to see him go somewhere. I know the Colts keep coming up, but we realize that they're kind of one big number one away from something like this. Fuller's not your Allen Robinson or Galladay number one, but I'm a really big fan of his talent.
He's a different kind of number one in the sense that he's not that big, but he's really fast.
He's not just fast. That's important to remember, though.
Yeah, he can run some routes too, and I think this past season kind of proved that he's pretty good along the sidelines too, as far
as
a
playmaker, man. Absolutely
doing that. Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, toe tap thing that I'm sure he learned from Hopkins.
Right.
I don't know. It would be great if he went to the Colts, but I also don't want him on the Colts because I don't think he's going to end up playing a full season ever with them because it's injury, usually hamstring.
Yeah, he's one of those players, how we always talk about touchdowns in fantasy is always year to year is hardest to predict. And you see the ebb and flow of statistical.
Doesn't he have 8 to 10 every season?
That's what I'm going to say is he's one of those players that takes that and just shatters it. If he's healthy, granted, that's the thing is he's not, but if he's healthy, this kid in at least 10, if not 16 touchdowns. He's that good. That's what I'm getting at with his talent. But, you got to have a quarterback to get in the ball. I've heard Washington a little bit. That intrigues me. Obviously, we don't have a signal caller of worth there, but I keep seeing these pieces around a theoretical signal caller in Washington, and I like what I see. Gibson, the running back. You have McLaren and Fuller. God, I would hate to cover that. And a pretty darn good tight end, and what's-his-face? Logan Thomas, too. That's all I've kind of got on him. Colts, Washington.
Miami's on the lookout for a number one, too.
That's a good. Another very favorite destination. That's a good one to mention.
Will Fuller is great to be the 1A, 1B, whatever to a guy like say Preston Williams or with the Colts they have Michael Pittman who's not the fastest dude in the world.
Is Ty gone?
Ty is a free agent as of right now. But Michael Pittman is not the fastest dude in the world, but he's a big body, kind of. Okay,
great compliment.
Yeah.
And Fuller could just last thing on Fuller. Could see some really great value in fantasy because we could talk about injury all day, every day. He's leaving his quarterback. There's reasons for his value, his ADP to drop. So you could get a value there.
Let's move on to Juju here.
Mm-hmm.
In case anyone wants some behind the scenes look, I am just scrolling down the PFF's ranks of wide receivers. That's how we're going. In case you didn't know that, Chris.
I didn't, but hey, my notes are even more random. No, I thought I hit on some key players. We all are.
So Juju here, I'm almost positive he's not going to be back with the Steelers because the Steelers are kind of in cap hell at the moment. I know Big Ben restructured and everything, but there's what?
That QB contract.
He just restructured, but it didn't. I don't think it saved them enough money to, and they're going to lose some defensive guys too. I think this offseason.
And I don't think their quarterback's very good anymore, to be quite frank.
I don't think so either, but we'll see. Mm-hmm. Juju's a real great guy. I think he's proven that he's really not a number one. He's a slot guy. And while slot guys can put up like really big numbers,
sure,
he's just not an outside guy. So I mean, I would be really happy if he went to a team with a one, like say Green Bay, or maybe say Will Fuller stayed in Houston, and you go there and he compliments like Brandon Cooks, like. Because you have some speed guys to like stretch the field, but then you have Juju playing underneath.
Mm-hmm. And they don't have a tight end of note really. So
slipping and sliding through the over the middle, getting open that way.
I like it, and I think he realizes that at this point in his career.
Juju,
he's a team guy. Yeah, I think he realizes he's a team guy. He's a role player. He's a pretty darn good role player, but I think he's just that. And I think those two hypothetical marriages you threw out are perfect. Devontae Adams, arguably the best receiver in the league, and you see a Juju greater than Lazard. Yeah, I mean, come on. Mm-hmm. I mean, I like Lazard. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not dumb, dude. Juju's still better than that. Juju's still better than Lazard. Let's be honest.
I'm just trying to think of I mean, even Washington, they don't really have like you mentioned, they don't really have a quarterback, but to compliment Terry McLaurin, he's not just a fast dude, but he's definitely
he's got the speed for sure.
I think he's the alpha there, and Juju would be a really great complement to that, alpha dog
keep
guy.
Hearing Washington and Baltimore, these wide receiver destinations, yeah, similar story there.
Let's move on to Corey Davis here. Corey Davis had he had a career season this past season.
Finally, you got to remember he was a small school kid.
Central Michigan. There you go. On a previous show, I said I was debating whether it was Eastern or Western. It was Central Michigan.
One of those directions in Michigan places.
And it wasn't a direction at all. It was smack dab in the middle.
Right.
Anyways, we also established that he wasn't a Youper either.
All right.
So Corey Davis, I think he was taken like 5th overall in the draft because he was really fast and a big-bodied guy, and
prototype type of receiver. Yeah, had all the tangibles.
He weirdly got some comparisons to like Calvin Johnson and that sort of crap, and that just I didn't ever think it was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I mean, he had a good season this year, but he needed AJ Brown to kind of help there too. Yeah. And what's weird about Corey Davis too is that like his good games kind of came when AJ Brown was on the field, not when AJ Brown was off the field. So yeah, he's another, and I hate to use the phrase, but he's kind of a beta receiver. Mm-hmm. He's just, he's just not a top dog,
I think, beta can have a bit of a negative connotation. So maybe better choice of words, but like, I think it's just a game of matchups. And even more and more you get away from having a 1A alpha, you start to look at receiving cores like the Rams is a good example. Maybe the Cowboys, although I think CD might be every bit of a 1A alpha. All I'm saying is you can get it done with 2 1Bs or whatever the heck you want to call them. Cowboys. And I think he's uber talented, so I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean Corey Davis, and I don't really know how to feel about Corey Davis's fantasy value. Like, I kind of want to be like,
I just think it's one of those dudes that entirely depends on opportunity and volume. Like, where could he go? I don't know if we want him as a 1, but if we could go somewhere where that 2 gets good looks, I don't know. It could be, a really good year. It could be a Juju type of that year he had. And who else is a good example? Well, I wouldn't say Godwin because I do think Godwin is top 5 talent. So, but anyway, that Juju year that he had was like, oh wow, without AB on the other side, So I see him as that kind of talent.
Let's do a couple more here for wide receivers. Let's see what we got here. Antonio Brown is our next one. I think Antonio Brown he might want to just stay with Tampa.
I would think so.
Retire. I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if he gets a decent offer elsewhere, he'll go there. But I don't know, man.
I think he's doing something right.
He sort of behave himself in Tampa, but he also there was some leaks about him being a bit of a knucklehead there too.
Oh yeah,
yeah, a little bit. Like at the beginning. And I think maybe Tom Brady kind of sat him down and be like, "Look, dude, you need to I stuck my neck out for you. You need to keep your mouth shut. You are on your last leg already." Mm-hmm. So
last leg, more like fourth to last leg. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's news to me. I thought he was. I thought I'm speculating. I'm not a doctor, but I thought maybe he got on medication, and I thought maybe he had anxiety or bipolar. Who knows? And so I thought maybe he sought help. Brady helped him, and everything was on the up and up. Granted, he's not going to be the Hall of Famer he once was, and will be eventually, probably still. But just,
probably
a very productive member on a Super Bowl caliber team. To finish out his career, I see no issue with that. If he can get his act together, more power to him. However, from a fantasy perspective, I want to see him gone. I really want Godwin to shine. And maybe, going back to what we were talking about earlier, maybe this is a sign that they won't bring him back. But to your point, if I were him, I stay at the only place I feel comfortable with, the quarterback I feel comfortable with, in a place where they helped me get help. And it's just a perfect fit for real football. But for fantasy, I'd like to see him maybe, I don't know, where he could go. One of these other wide receiver needy teams, maybe?
Huh.
What's that?
Sorry, I'm looking at the next guy in our list, and I am confused.
Oh, yeah?
I figured it out, though. Okay, so the next guy on our list, and we'll touch on him real quick here, is you may have never heard of him, referred to this, is Eugene Marquis Hilton.
T.Y.
Hilton. Why is he called T.Y. Hilton? He was born to his father, I'm assuming this is his father's name, Tyrone, and his mother, Cora Hilton. But I don't know where he's getting the Y from. No idea. T.Y. Hilton is his name, and that's what he goes by, and that's how we refer to him, as T.Y. Hilton.
Thank you.
Anyway, so he's spent his entire career so far with the Colts, as pretty much everyone should know by now. But I don't know. I think I saw an article earlier this week talking about free agents and everything. And in this article, forget me, I would love to cite where I saw it, but I don't remember. They were saying that T.Y. Hilton's game film looked a lot better than his actual production from this past season, which is good. I mean, I think T.Y. he had some problems getting in sync with Philip Rivers and vice versa. Philip Rivers at the beginning of the season, I know, did not look very good. No. But by the end of the season, could he throw the ball down the field very well? No, because he was, he's getting up there in age. But Philip Rivers looked a lot better in the last half of the season for the Colts than he did at the beginning. And I think that really hurt T.Y. Hilton's numbers. Now, T.Y. is, 3-4 years removed from a 1,000-yard season. I mean, since Andrew Luck's last season, actually. So that's 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, his yards, his average per catch is just kind of the toilet. He used to be his calling card, 16, 17 yards, league leading top 3.
But if you look at that too, look at it though, is last year was Philip Rivers. The year before that was Jacoby Brissett, who for some reason would not throw the ball farther than 10 yards.
Probably just experience,
and then
he's not good at it.
And then I think with Andrew Luck, his last season it wasn't a lack of ability for T.Y. to get down the field. I think it was a lot more just quick passes,
Well, and I also think Luck was hurt, and he didn't want to get hurt again. He had just come back from being hurt, I think, before he ended his career.
Yes.
And so I think, I'm not saying he was gun shy or seeing ghosts. I'm just saying I think there was an emphasis on the offense to get the ball out quickly. What's that?
He wasn't pulling a Sam Bradford.
Yeah, right. No. So I think there was an emphasis on the offense to get the ball out quickly to preserve the health of their quarterback. And then, of course, fast forward to him hanging it up and hindsight 2020, Yeah, I don't think it suits T.Y.'s skill set is the problem. Jacoby
we'll see where he goes. I'd love to see him stay with the Colts, and I think he wants to stay with the Colts, but it's going to come down to
Wentz could get him the ball.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I know T.Y. has come out and said in years past that he wants to be a Colt for life. A lot of players say that, but I think when it comes down to it, I think he wants money,
Depends on how he feels about, the ownership and the front office, and of course, most importantly, Wentz at the quarterback position. And
I don't think it's the front office. I think it is.
I think I love it if, again, they bring in another guy. They bring in one of these other names we talked about. It doesn't have to be Galladay or a Robinson, but a Fuller.
I don't think the Colts are willing to spend that kind of money.
It's kind of too similar of a player in terms of speed. But yeah, you could be right about that in terms of the money. So you'd be looking at Pittman and Hilton. I don't necessarily love that with the quarterback. With Wentz, I mean. Well, we'll see. All
right, let's move on to running backs here. There's more wide receivers. There's a
I was going to say, I feel like there was a lot of wide receivers.
With wide receivers in this free agency.
Let's be quick on these running backs and cut to the chase, I say.
No, I'm not going to. I'm going to, because you said that, I'm going to dwell and linger.
Fine, half hour on James Conner.
So, folks, we've been Amazing Fantasy Football. That's Chris. I'm Josh. Everyone, stay healthy, wear a mask, and we'll see you next week.
I'll see you later.
Anyways.
No, let's
move on. Okay, so our running backs, do not cut that out, by the way. Our first running back up here is Aaron Jones. I think PFF has him listed ranked way too low, but PFF is ranking him based on every single free agent and position too. So, number 45 on their list I still think is really low because I think Aaron Jones has a load of talent. He just needs to kind of stay healthy for his talent to stay on the field. Mm-hmm. The Packers chose not to franchise tag him. I thought that was kind of strange. I know they just spent a second round pick in 2020 draft on AJ Dillon for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Maybe they're thinking that they could keep Jamal Williams, at a cheaper price than Aaron Jones. Jamal Williams does have a similar skill set to Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones just has more talent.
Well, yeah, right? He's fast. Yeah, he's faster for sure. But I don't know. I think they're of the school of thought that there's only maybe not even a handful, maybe only 2 or 3 running backs worth signing to a second contract, to be quite frank. I think at the end of the day, Aaron Jones' number that he wants and the number he probably ends up getting is better suited for a team that's in has a cheap quarterback and is in a win now 2-year window, like my new favorite team, the Miami Dolphins. I'm kidding. They're not my new favorite team, but you know where I'm going with this. So we're not the only.
I think after Wednesday, everyone's going to think that I'm a Browns fan.
Oh, so, yeah. Oh, because the Chubb.
I don't know. No.
Sorry. I can edit that out. Anyway,
just a quick note. There is another player video coming out on Wednesday, and it is a Browns player. So,
you're going to my statement about how many running backs are actually worth a second contract. I understand. Yeah, maybe the jury's out on that guy, but we don't have to worry about that just yet. No, I just, when it comes to Aaron Jones going to Miami, we're not the only ones to mention it. It's kind of in the rumor mill. Miami has money to spend. In fact, they might have to spend some of it. But I've heard just about enough of it. I think, as most folks who listen to the show know, that I'm a pretty big Gaskin fan. While I believe Jones is a superior talent, I think Gaskin is the more valuable player. Yes, that has to do with his price tag, but also I think he's good between the tackles. He's a heck of a receiver out of the backfield. I liken him to a Eckler light, except instead of less calories, it's like less catches and yards. So, yeah.
I think the one thing that if Aaron Jones does go to Miami, their offensive line is not as good as Green Bay's, and Aaron Jones is not necessarily a big, strong bruising back, so he needs more in other words, he needs more help from the offensive line than say maybe a Nick Chubb or I don't want to use Zeke. You know what? More like a Chris Carson.
Good name.
Our next name on the list. It's in a sense that like I said, Aaron Jones. He's like 5'9". He maybe weighs like 200 pounds, which is good. It works well. His size or the way he plays is great for his size. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
But yeah, he's just not. He needs offensive line help. He needs holes to be created for him. He can't just run through people. He's not Derrick Henry. That's the one I was looking for. He is not Derrick Henry. He can't just run people over.
Yeah. Well, and he's also, in terms of season long, he's not a 90% share guy. Green Bay's not fools. Now, we could have saw a couple more touches here and there. I understand the fantasy community being critical of Green Bay for that reason, but at the same time, they know that he is not a 90% share guy. He won't last, and it's not a negative. It's just
he doesn't last for the workload that he does get either. He missed 2 games this past season. He missed, I think it was 2 or 4 in 2019. I can't remember which. So he hasn't gone a full season playing 16 games, and I think that was the problem coming out of college too. It was injuries, and that's why he went later in the draft.
Yep,
and maybe he was injured.
Well, he's also a small school guy, so there was some question marks there. I think it was like a 4th round pick. So, maybe Green Bay's not done. Maybe they're letting Jones walk, and maybe they do believe in A.J. Dillon, and he's getting the younger guys getting the job, or maybe they're going to bring in a cheaper option like a James Conner or Chris Carson.
Maybe they're going to draft it. Maybe they'll draft another running back.
Yeah, that's where you build take your running backs. Yeah. I don't know.
This is our next dude.
Yeah.
Our next dude is Chris Carson. Chris Carson, running back coming out of Seattle. I'm assuming he's going to stay with Seattle, but I have no idea. No clue. Seattle needs a lot of help.
Well, they chose not to tag him, but no surprise there. I don't think even Carson expected to get tagged, but he had just been a fixture of the offense. So
And speaking of like injury, running backs that can't stay healthy, Chris Carson, another one. It's just, I don't know. I've heard some good stuff being said about Chris Carson's career and how he looks on film and everything. When you're not playing every single game, I guess I'm just not. I don't know.
The past year and a half is
Chris Carson fan. You
I was going to say, yeah,
I'm not wowed by him.
I've been the Chris Carson fan throughout his career. However, I'm also a realist and see that his production's not what it used to be. So I've been off him the past little while. But it's just like you said, it's skewed. The past year and a half has kind of skewed his value. I think there's still talent there. I just think he's a role player. That's exactly what he is. He's a perfect fit for like Miami if they want to keep Gaskin as the feature. And Carson is a perfect kind of like a 2-year deal. Save money on the contract, get out from under it in 2 years. He gets limited snaps because he's the 1B, if you will. I think he's a perfect fit like that for somebody like behind a Gaskin, or maybe more of a 50-50 even on his best day in terms of find a running back by committee that he fits well. Denver, I mean, you're talking Phillip Lindsay and Gordon. They could use a bargain deal on a Chris Carson and run him into the ground for a couple years, see if he can take it.
I think Denver would be better off getting like Aaron Jones than Chris Carson, because Chris Carson and Melvin.
Well, but my point is, Chris Carson is a bargain. He's mid-tier. Yeah. He's a bargain. So with a cap going down, I think you're going to see a lot of bargain shopping, and this is coming from Cowboys fans. This isn't the Cowboys of yesteryear where it was Jerry Jones bringing in Dion and all these big contracts and Charles Haley and all this. They've been a very bargain-oriented franchise. I'm not saying Carson is going there. I'm just saying there's other franchises out there that are... What?
You cannot stay away from the Cowboys.
Oh, it's just a reference to how they bargain basement shop for free agency. So I think somebody like a Miami is of the similar vein. But I think that's all I got on Carson.
It's always circling back.
Well, that's where most of my knowledge lies in the past several years.
Even though you're talking about the Cowboys from the 90s.
Oh, well, that's because... Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, other people would get mad. I just find it hilarious. Oh, let's move on to our next guy. Our next guy on the list is Kenyon Drake here.
Yeah, I didn't get to him.
Yeah, and there's good reason. You know what? I loved Kenyon Drake coming from Miami to Houston. Didn't do much in Houston. It is Houston, right?
No.
Nope.
Arizona.
Nope. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Lamar Miller. I liked Kenyon Drake coming from Miami to Arizona with fish sticks. What's his name? Kyler there at quarterback. And in 2019, that back half of the season, it was mainly 3 games. But the last part of the season was good for Kenyon Drake, and then this past season was not that good.
Nope.
I haven't watched I haven't watched any game film on the Cardinals yet, but I wonder if some of it was adequate at best offensive line play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I think
Kenyon
you're
Drake's
right.
He's not a world breaker, man. He is not.
No.
He's going to get an okay contract, probably $3 to $5 million from some team that needs a running back,
and they're going to give him carries.
I don't think he's really all that talented anymore, and I don't know if he's got
a decent amount of size and a decent amount of speed. That's what it comes down to, if you ask me. And he can take a decent amount of punishment.
I don't know if and sometimes I just kind of wonder if Kenyon Drake, when I do watch him, if he's really giving 100% effort.
Oh, that might be. I don't know. I'd have to look a little closer. But no, I think they were ready to move on from.
I feel like when you look at and I know like you can measure athletics however you want, as far as like in the combine and all of that gobbledygook. But when you look at those numbers and you look at Kevin Drake, when you look at Kenyon Drake play, they don't match up for some reason.
Well, let's do this real quick. Let's play two guys we just talked about, Chris Carson or Drake, just kind of big picture next year.
Oh, Carson easily.
See, so yeah, I kind of see him as similar, except Carson is more the physical runner. Drake has got a little bit more speed, but in terms of what tier they fall on, in terms of talent, I think they're kind of similar. Carson's been hurt more, but he's also been at it a little bit longer. So I kind of, in terms of teams out there looking for a guy to sign that can fill a role, I kind of see him in a similar vein. They need a complement. They can either be the 1A or the 1B, but they're not going to get 90%. They're going to get 60-40, you know what I mean? Kind of snap share.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Kenyon Drake could be more of a backup than necessarily a
which is why you chose Carson. So you're putting Carson a little bit higher, and I'm putting him more or less kind of at the same. It just really comes down to opportunity, and I don't think either really deserves a huge opportunity. I think they fit better with
which Kevin Drake would you like to learn about? Would you like to learn about Kevin Drake A or Kevin Drake B? Please choose B.
I will choose B, definitely.
Okay, Kevin Drake B. Executive Director at Upward Sports. I am a proven and strategic leader focused on achieving maximum results for my company and customers. When I do get some downtime, you can find me fishing, hiking, or camping with my wife and Boykin Spaniel Ranger somewhere near a creek or river. That's Kevin Drake.
Creeper River. Kevin Drake. I'll never go there.
Kevin Drake does not play football.
No,
folks.
No.
He is an executive director at Upward Sports. Kenyon Drake does play football, and he's a mediocre running back.
And I think that's our cue to go on to the next running back, which...
Speaking of mediocre running backs, it's James Conner. James Conner is, and number last on my list is James Conner.
Ditto. So kind of a similar theme.
Dude, you used to like James Conner.
I know. Hey,
so
again,
you run with this. You run with this, dude.
So
because I have never been a James Conner guy at all, and I don't know why. I love his story and the fact that he beat cancer and everything. Other than that, could care less about him.
I think his inability to stay healthy. I know that we're beating a dead horse here, folks, but this is the running back position, the most oft injured position in the league. So these guys are not weaklings or fragile.
Well, and some of this is the reason why their teams aren't giving them big contracts either, especially, and I kind of wonder that with Aaron Jones, the Packers don't exactly have a crap ton of cap space.
Right.
But Aaron Jones hasn't played a full season, so why give him
Well, they also have like a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback still playing in his 40s. He could probably make any running back good.
30.
I mean, let's be honest. I'm not trying to take away from Jones. I'm just saying, you know me, I tend to be, build through the draft. You can replace running backs. Yes, there's 2 or 3 that are worth signing to a second contract, but otherwise I would rather have the younger talent with the fresh legs and the small contract number every single time.
Well, and James
almost every single time.
And James Conner just he hasn't been very effective either.
Well, that's the thing. Similar to a sour taste in our mouths, left with Carson, just banged up, not as productive. He would be better suited in a role. He's not. Again, beating a dead horse.
You know how many share guy. Know how many yards that he had? You know how many rushing yards he had last season?
I would guess 750.
Oh, you're pretty close. It's 721. So that's not terrible considering he only played 13 games. But
yeah,
and I think the problem with James Conner is that a lot of people overdrafted him in a sense that he probably went in the 4th round.
Sounds maybe? Right. Oh, I'm sorry. Of fantasy? Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. I was in NFL draft mode anyway. I like to play this kind of quick mental exercise. So to me, I keep harping on this, Carson would be a better fit as a complement. If you're, let's think of a different team.
3rd round. Wow, a 3rd rounder.
Oh, there you go.
And the 3rd round was his ADP last year.
What's a good team? Okay, Green Bay, where you're going to let your incumbent big money guy walk, and while you like Dillon, you're not necessarily convinced yet. And Williams is always a jag, just a guy. So we want to bring in somebody with some talent, but we know we need to limit his snaps. Carson to Green Bay, James Conner to Green Bay. If you limit his snaps, Conner has always been efficient. Now, I also think the Pittsburgh offense is a shell of its former self, and it really
their offensive line went downhill pretty quick this past season.
Very quickly. Yeah. And now Pouncey's gone for good. He retired. So if they can get some help at tackle. But anyway, yeah. So I just think, before we completely throw the talent on Conner, let's just see if he can help us win a couple fantasy games in the middle of the season when we're looking for running backs desperately. You know what I mean? And he's latched on with a Green Bay or a Dallas, and he's like, okay, well, Zeke's gone or Aaron Jones is gone, and now we're, I'm getting touchdowns, but
neither one of those teams are going to sign James Conner. That's the thing. James Conner is going to go to.
You think Dillon's the guy in Green Bay for sure, or a rookie?
Why would they give James Conner money when they?
Oh, James Conner's going to command $6 million, dude. It's going to be such a bargain, just like Carson.
Yeah, but the Green Bay offensive line is losing potentially is losing 2 of their key players. So I think they're going to sink money into that over a running back.
That's fair criticism. That's fair criticism. I still like the angle.
Are both for free agency. So
I still like the angle of a talented bargain veteran.
James Conner to the Jets, quite possibly.
Well, that's death sentence for everybody involved.
No,
I just don't think his contract number is going to be big because of injury and salary cap going down. Quite frankly, the Carsons and Connors of the world are going to be $6 million running backs. What was Eckler a year or 2 ago? Eckler's better.
What?
And Eckler only got 7 or 8.
But that's what's so bizarre about Green Bay not tagging, frankly, any of their players, is that the cap is going down this season, and a lot of teams are restructuring running back contracts. I'm pretty sure Christian McCaffrey already restructured his
to help the team out. Yeah, why? But when you tag, you take the average of the top 5 at your position, depending on other factors. But generally speaking, so it's not worth it.
I'm not saying that. I don't know. Anyways, I don't know what James Conner potential landing spot. Easily, the Jets is a potentiality.
I would agree.
Maybe honestly, I could see the Seahawks maybe taking a shot at him and hope that they get.
See, I feel like that's a good example of what I was talking about. Also,
I could see the Seahawks doing it, and hoping they get, because he can do. He probably shouldn't play every down, but he can. In the sense that
I think he's more talented than Chris Carson, for sure. When healthy, again.
Yeah, but I think he's a lot less healthy in the sense that he is.
Right.
Let me rephrase that. He has missed more games,
more often,
Chris Carson,
more often.
Therefore, yes, thank you.
We're on the same page, yeah. But so I like a fit like that. Bargain contract, 2 years. Come and get some opportunity, but not 90% of it, more like 70, 65, and see if you can stay healthy. And if you can't, that's fine, because we only spent $6 million on you for 2 years. So
yeah, whatevs.
On to the next.
do we want to do any more of these running backs? I'm gonna actually skip. I'm gonna skip quite a few because the next ones on the list are Mike Davis, whatever, Duke Johnson.
Run through them quick because that's all I got on
James White, meh. Le'Veon Bell, absolutely don't care.
Mm-mm.
Jamal Williams, insert light version of Aaron Jones. You know, they're very.
James White kind of catches my eye if he goes somewhere that's gonna use him to the best to his talents. You know.
Boy, this sounds like a real lazy speculation, but James White to say the Buccaneers.
Right. Good point. Well, you're probably losing.
Like I said, that seems extremely lazy, but
sometimes lazy analysis is the correct analysis, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see Tom Brady being like, "What about that dude?"
They're losing Fournette. I mean, I know James White isn't a bruiser.
Necessarily.
Not necessarily. Okay. He could stick around for role playing. I've got a little, if you don't mind going down a little.
I want to be a level 3 wizard.
Quick tangent to wrap up the show.
Can we
go ahead. If it pertains to running backs in fantasy, do that first.
Yeah. I wanted to skip down to like Marlon Mack. I know the guy. I just
okay.
What did he tore his Achilles in week 1 of this past season?
He should be good to go.
I do not see the Colts. I do not see the Colts re-signing him.
No, it's not worth it.
Not with Nyheim Hines and third string running back and Jonathan Taylor there. I don't see it happening. But Marlon Mack in 2019 was, although PFF has him ranked as their 28th best running back in 2019, he had a good solid 1,000-yard season in 2019. And I think that, if you went to the right team that needed kind of more of a first, second down back that can kind of catch the ball okay and everything, could be your third down guy if you really wanted him to. He's probably going to miss or not be very effective in his first 3-4 weeks because of that injury. It is an injury that can take a long time to heal from.
Meaning he needs to go to a situation where they've got some guys there that can.
Or I'm just saying, maybe in the middle of the season, you may not draft Marlon Mack at the very beginning of the season, especially in redraft, but a guy to keep your eye on, especially if he goes to the right place. He could really be.
I can't imagine not drafting a running back, but I hear you. He's going to be suppressed value. Absolutely.
Nyheim Hines went pretty undrafted last year, and then he had a good week 1.
Yeah, but we thought we had 3 horses.
Ended up packaging him in a deal for Dalvin Cook. So in your face.
Yeah, that was redonkulous, by the way, but whatever. No, in terms of...
I can sneak stuff into the show, too.
Right. In terms of destination and opportunity, I think... I hate to keep coming back to it, but Connor, Carson, or Mack. I think I start to lean Mack because I think I'll get him even cheaper, but he might be the healthier guy. Like you said, few weeks into the season. I think he's 100%. Yeah. If you can get him through training camp, keep him on the roster, and you've got a running back backfield that's I don't want to say in flux, but doesn't have a home run hitter, doesn't have a 1A, kind of like these other examples I've named. You need to redo your running back committee real fast. Pick up Chris Carson and Mack on the cheap or something, or some combination of a rookie and Carson or a rookie and Mack. I like Mack maybe the best out of those 3. I'm really glad you brought up that name. I like that.
Yep.
I'd go Matt Connor Carson for me. Matt Connor Carson.
Yeah. All right. Let's pivot to tight end real quick here. There isn't a ton, but there are a couple. Let's start with Gronk real quick. Like we already kind of talked about him. So like I said earlier, I think Gronk is bucks or bust, and frankly, he could even just be looking at like taking a league minimum to stay with Brady or just retire. And if the Bucs don't want to do that, then whatever. Or Gronk might have a number in his head, and if the Bucs don't get close to it, he's like,
whatever. I'll go do TV.
Yeah, or I'm gonna just be a big doofus party animal.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He'll just do commercials and TV and work when he wants. And he did Fox every weekend for last year, or not really? Last year, year before last, 2019. Yeah, he did Fox. It wasn't like one of the 4 main guys. He did his part and then would leave and then come back. So he was on Fox.
What was his part? Being like walking on camera and be like, "Hey, bros, want a beer? No, good. All right, I'll be over here."
No script. They just turn the camera and say Gronk, do Gronk stuff, and that's what they did. I'm kidding, but it was kind of like that.
It's literally like they pan over to Gronk and he's like holds up a bottle of beer and he's like, "Beer?" And they're like, "No, dude, it's 9:00 in the morning." All right, suit yourself.
Let's put it this way: as far as the analysis and personality on camera, Jason Witt, that's the wrong way to put it. As far as preparedness, ability to talk to the camera and get your message across, Jason Witten was better, but we all know Gronk is better than Jason in TV and reality, and this is coming from a hardcore. Anyway, like just everybody loves Gronk's personality, man. Like it's the antithesis of like Witten, or who's a dry pan guy in sports that announces. I don't know. Joe Buck, I don't know. I got nothing.
I do not like Gronk, so whatever.
You don't like Gronk? You hate the Patriots, though, don't you? I kind of do too.
But... I just think Gronk's a big dumb jock, and yeah,
I think he embraces his image, and I think he has fun with it. I don't know.
Yeah, therefore he is a shallow individual that probably has barely any personality to himself, other than big doofus party animal.
I doubt that, but. Then again,
I've been critical of him in the past. Whatever. Okay, let's move on to Hunter Henry here.
Yeah. Let's get a little more.
Hunter Henry, I mean, he hasn't gotten over, I think, 650 yards in a season. A lot of that is injury, but some of it, I mean, 90% of it's injury. But, this past season, he was pretty healthy most of the season, if not all the entire season. Yeah, he was dealing with Herbie as a quarterback. Yes, I almost called him Joe Burrow there. I don't know. I think that he could be a steal for a team that's looking to not spend up on tight end. Let's put it that way. If a team is looking to have a pass catching tight end, on the cheap, Hunter Henry could be it. What do you think about that?
We know he can do it. What was it? 2019? Was that recent? 2018. He had a pretty phenomenal year. Hunter Henry didn't he? A couple years ago.
Like I just said, he has never topped 650 yards in a season.
What? He must have got hurt that year then. Maybe it's just a hot start.
Every season.
Oh, well, I guess it's more bargain stuff, like you said.
Literally just did all that.
I know. I'm reiterating. I guess it's kind of the same, echoing the same thing. I thought he had a better year. That's frustrating.
Me too.
Yeah, bargain shopping.
I didn't write any notes on him, but I have certainly looked at his stats.
There you go. You got to have a contingency plan behind a guy like him. If you're going to try to bring him in. I guess that's where I'm at with his value, for sure. But yeah, gosh, I thought it's not like I thought he had 1,000 yards or anything, but I thought he had several touchdowns, 10 maybe.
No, unfortunately not.
Yeah. Well, he's been banged up a lot, so that's going to bring his price tag down. It's the world that these owners and these GMs live in that they're going to have to figure out how to bring people in on this roster with the salary cap going down, and he's going to be a great example.
Next up is Jonnu Smith. I know you really like Jonnu Smith. Would you rather have Jonnu Smith or Hunter Henry? Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry.
That's going to depend entirely on team-by-team basis and situation. I would answer your question by saying Jonnu because I will take...
Knowing what you know right now, Jonnu Smith or Hunter Henry in a draft next year.
Like I said, I'll take Jonnu. I'll take the athletic talent and what I believe to maybe end up being the more talented player. Not to take too much away from Hunter Henry because I think he's the better receiver and overall tight end. But
so you know how I said Hunter Henry never had more than 650 yards in a season?
Yep.
Jonnu Smith has never had more than 450 yards in a season.
That's going to be the knock against him. He
did have 8 touchdowns this past year, which definitely helps bring that value up. But the Titans are also not a heavy tight end usage team either.
Well,
so like I said,
with Hunter Henry,
if either one of these guys, any of these tight ends really, except Gronk, are going to go to a team that's going to use the tight end more, yeah, they're going to be useful. What those teams are, I don't know, because
Seattle?
it seems teams like yeah, maybe, but Seattle has needs on much more pressing needs on defense and offensive line than tight end right at the moment.
Agreed.
They seem to be able to cobble together a tight end out of used body part.
What about... I saw Washington. They have Logan Thomas. I do like Logan Thomas, so maybe that's the bad one. But I don't know. Rams don't need another guy. Jets.
The Rams. Oh well, and the next on the list is Gerald Britt. He is a free agent.
Yeah, but I think they would lean on Higbee now more.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps, but I mean Stafford. Other than this past season with T.J. Hawkinson. Okay, so like the point I was going to make with Stafford, you could also say with Deshaun Watson is that both of these quarterbacks don't really have a big giant history of using tight ends all that much.
Yep.
Now, true. Is that the offense or is that the quarterback?
Or the tight end?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Is that the tight end that they do have isn't up to snuff, so they don't
hard to distribute?
Yeah, I would lean towards the second, the latter, saying that good quarterbacks, when given a great tight end, will utilize them because they're open. But
for sure,
I've seen, like you said, some quarterbacks where it's almost baffling, to be quite frank. Well, how about Chargers? Yeah, I like Chargers as a destination because they have a role to fill.
Yeah, potentially, but it's also hard to say if a tight end really fits into that sort of whatever personnel.
They do throw the ball to the backs a lot, and they have Keenan, of course.
That's hard to say though, because Anthony Lynn and whatever was going on before is no longer in. Darn it! I almost said San Diego, Los Angeles.
It's true. Do
you know that the Chargers have been in LA for 3 seasons now? Does that seem right?
This will be the third, right?
No.
Oh. Well, they left before the Rams.
Does that seem right?
Did they? I thought they left the same time the Rams did. No, it doesn't.
They did.
Right. It seems like this will be the third year.
Did the internet lie to me, Chris?
Maybe.
Did the internet lie to me?
Maybe. Or you can't count. No, I'm just kidding. No, I thought they just completed their second year in LA. Same for the Rams. And the Raiders, I forget. That was not at the same time. I know that wasn't at the same time. Maybe you're right, actually.
Wow, 2017.
That was their first year in LA?
It's going to be the 4th season.
Wow, so I was way off.
You know what happens when you get old, Chris? All these days.
I forget. I forget what happens.
Because you're older than I am. Oh man! All right, so that's been. Let's just call that tight ends. What was your side note that you wanted to bring up?
I don't remember. It was something about, I don't know, running backs or something. Tight ends. Must have been about tight ends. We were talking about tight ends. I don't know. We'll pick it up on next week's show.
So I know this is running long, but do you want to hear this interesting story I heard? What was it? 2 weeks ago, I was at the hospital.
Sure.
Want to hear this real quick?
Sure.
So in case people don't know, I work in a hospital. I am not a medical professional. I do menial work for this hospital. Anyways, I was talking to this nurse that I know in the hospital, and she was telling me she happens to work in the OR there. And she was telling me about this patient where he got in some weird like car accident or something, and they needed to amputate his left leg. So they were doing surgery and everything, and the doctor comes into the guy's room after the surgery, and he goes up to the guy and he's like, "Sir, I'm sorry, we had some complications during our surgery, and I removed your right leg on accident instead of your left leg."
I do this where this is going.
And the guy is like, "What do you mean you removed my right? What about my left leg?" He's like, "We removed that too as well." And the guy's like, "Are you serious?" I'm going to sue you to high heaven. And the doctor's like, "I really wouldn't recommend that, sir." And the guy said, "Why wouldn't I sue your ass off?" And the doctor is like, "Well, you wouldn't have a leg to stand on."
I knew it. How dare
Anyways,
you?
That has been my joke. And I wish everyone to have a safe and happy week. Next week, we'll be talking about the reactions to free agency that will be going bananas next week. You can email us at amazingffb@gmail.com. I'm trying to get more involved on the Twitters. with our fantasy account. It's not going well, but whatever. You can check out Chris's Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Hardware Dynasty, where he builds PCs and does some video game in there. You got anything else, Chris?
That's about it. And of course, our own Discord, and I'll put links in the description, and subscribe so you don't miss a video, and hit that like button so YouTube knows that you like this content and we can make more.
And if you are watching us on YouTube, you can also check us out in podcast format. We're pretty much wherever podcasts are available. Please please rate and review us in said formats. And if you're listening in podcast format, of course, you can check us out on YouTube. You can leave us notes in the comments. This past Wednesday, I did a video on Baker Mayfield. I would really love people to check it out. Absolutely. Please, in the comments of any of these, and I'm calling them an eye on segment, where I'm an eye on a specific player. In those comments, leave a comment of what a player that you want to see me do some video, to do some game film on. I have another one coming out this next Wednesday, and I'm hoping it'll be an every Wednesday thing. I got a fair amount of work ahead of me in my professional life, so a week from this coming Wednesday might be a little difficult, but I'll do my best. And yeah, just give us a sub, and just tell us that we're doing a good job if we're doing a good job, and tell us that we're doing a bad job and why we're doing a bad job if we are. Until then, folks, everyone stay safe, wear a mask, get vaccinated, whatever vaccine you can get your hands on. Just get it done, folks. And thanks for tuning in. Goodbye, everyone.
Later, everybody.